important stages of meditation. That's the topic. This is a little bit, as you know, a little bit different than the stages of meditation by Kamala Shila. Kamala Shila, do you know who? No? The great Indian philosopher, master, Indian. He went to Tibet, and then there are lots of reasons, but he wrote three important texts called stages of meditation. And that he wrote the stages of meditation by Kamala Shila actually describes many levels of meditation. And as you know, how a spiritual path can be developed, and how should you understand emptiness. And it also talks about the awakening mind of bodhicitta, both relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. He also talks about compassion. Especially, he talks about how to meditate both shamatha and vipassana, and together and separately, and all of that, right? Very important. It's very important teaching. But today, in this teaching, for example, this is a little bit different than that. For instance, when I think about my meditation, and in order to develop my practice, I just don't practice, my meditation without good methods. When I meditate and when I think about my meditation, I need good methods. And when I think about methods, I think about we need these three things. I don't know how to call it, but just say three things. As I said, one, preparation. There is no name, because this is kind of these are, we have one, preparation, two, implements, and then three, methods. So these three things, there's no name, I don't know, whatever you call it. And because I collect these three tools, maybe, from different Buddhist texts, and I put them together here for you, for us. This all of preparations, all of this, it's not new. I mean, it's they are, in Buddhist texts, different texts. They explain, describe what is preparation, what is, mindfulness. But there's no one text that has all of this. So it's kind of, when I meditate, I think a lot of like the methods, because without the methods, our meditation, you can't improve your meditation. So this kind of, from my own experience, I think we need these three things. They all exist in different Buddhist texts, but there are nobody put them together in one text like that. So therefore, there's no name, right? So therefore, that's the point, that you need a teacher. You can read a book, right? But the teachers give you the instruction. This is what we call instruction. It's already in the books, but in the text, but the teachers put them together as like what is necessary really for meditators, and then they collect, and then through on their experience, from their own experience, and then that's what we call instructions, oral instruction, whatever, So anyway, so if I thought maybe if I put them together and then tell you, then you don't have to read a lot of books and to find these tools for your meditation. So today you make lots of notes, and then next time when you meditate, you remember it. Then you don't remember, you take a look, in your notes, and then that's it. So, so therefore, I think these tools or these methods are very good for everybody, especially, I think, for beginner, practitioners. Because, the beginner, if you're practitioner, you have lots of obstacles. It's not easy to meditate. Meditation is not that easy. So anyway, we talked about the one preparation, 3 implements, and now the next is called 3 methods, which are, first is resting, and second, continual resting, and third, repeated resting. Okay? Or we can say other different translation, like they say placement, which is rest, and then continual placement, and then repeated placement. So these 3 methods. These 3 are, actually, there are 9 methods of resting the mind when we meditate shamatha, right? There are 9 different experiences or 9 different methods. But I thought, as a beginner, we don't need all of them, this 9 methods. So we need these 3. It's in Tibetan jok, jin jok, lantin jok. It's very important. So jok means resting. Jin jok means, jok is again, right? Continue. Jin means continue. And then jok means resting, continue resting. And then lantin jok means like, jok is again resting, but repeated. Lantin means repeated resting. So therefore, I picked these 3 methods, but I don't think we need all of these 9 methods when you are just starting, your meditation. Eventually, maybe you need, but for us, maybe you don't need it, because keep simple is better. If you are a beginner meditator. So therefore, I think these 3 methods of resting the mind are very important. That's because as you continue in your practice, the first is resting or whatever, placement, whatever, is always the first step, right? First step. As you see when we meditate, we meditate You meditate on the shamatha, the object of Buddha's statue. You see first comes in your mind. First is rest. That's why resting is always the first step for meditators. Is the most important method. If you don't rest, you can't meditate. Because the first method, the resting, this is very important because this will directly affect whatever comes next. So the first method is rest in the mind. So again, in Tibetan we call it njokpa, right? Njok, which means, to place. Placing the mind on the object of meditation. So you take the mind and you hold it on an object. So njokpa means like holding your attention on the object of your meditation. That's what we call njokpa. Like when you bring your mind on the statue of Buddha's heart center, and you put your mind there, right? When you focus on the statue, your mind is not like become a stone, but you also have to work with your mind and bring your mind and put your mind there. That's what we call njok, means resting. So, you understand? We just did it, right? In the last meditation session. I don't know how many thoughts arise, then I don't know, but that's how we did. That's the first step. That is the njokpa, which means placing the mind on the object of meditation. Do you understand? It's very important, this method. In a formal session of meditation, when you have sat down and you begin to meditate, resting is the first action. Therefore, the Buddhists, the meditators, it is the first of the three methods, resting. 3 methods or 9 methods. This is the first. So rest in your mind is a very important, important step, important sort of action when you begin the process of meditation. So when you try to rest the mind, you will experience the movement of your mind at this time. There are 5 different experiences that you will get. And you will see in your meditation journey. But, I'm not going to talk about this or every experience, but about the main feelings, which is the movement of mind, is the first experience of your meditation. You know that. When you try to try to rest your mind onto the object, you can see if you have the awareness with your meditation, you see the movement of your mind. That's the first experience, the first feeling, So at first we experience discursiveness. And our feelings come from dealing with that. Actually, this is very important experience. Very important experience. But people would say, I have more thoughts and I have more sort of emotions when I meditate. And I feel like I'm worse than I was before, right? you know, and then you worry. You worry about your meditation because you expect when you meditate, you sit down on cushion and you meditate, rest your mind, and you think like totally calm and relaxed and beautiful, and you can see everything in outside, experience like that, right? You expect that. But instead of that, you see this movement of your mind, and then you worry about it, and then you have more emotions, um, and then if you are emotionally sensitive meditator, then you cry, and then you worry, etc., right? But what is happening? I can tell you this. What is happening? I have this experience. I have this. I am completely like as an ordinary person, human being, but I have this experience, So when you do this meditation, you rest and you try to rest your mind on object, then you see this movement of your mind. What is happening here is that you are now recognizing the movement of your mind, the mind, for the first time. The first time. Your meditation is not going to create any more thoughts or any more emotions or negative, but this all comes from your awareness. We call it awareness. So now you notice that there is a lot of movement. There's a lot of movement. When you look at the ocean in a very firm distance, you don't see the movement, or you don't see under what's there. You don't see, but then you reach close to look at it, you see everything there, right? So that's kind of same thing. When you relax, try to relax, you meditate, and then see this, lot of movements, Therefore, you are not able to hold your mind very long. That's one of the, remember we talked about one of the qualities of the mindfulness, right? You are not able to hold your mind very long on the object. It means like it comes and goes like that. So now you are starting to understand your mind a little bit this time, right? That's very good, That's why, otherwise we just don't know who we are without this kind of meditation. So this is actually a very important step, because before we didn't think about how many thoughts we have, how strong, this emotionals comes in our mind. We didn't know these things. Actually, the beginning of our meditation is dealing with our minds. That's all, actually, the beginning. Because we become aware of our thoughts at this time. So that means like you are dealing with, you're working with your mind, right? A good meditator, they don't need to do these things. They're already there. But for the beginners, when powerful thoughts arise, then the mind becomes very powerful, right? But when we try to rest our minds mindfully, then we will see where the mind actually is. And then we just try to rest the mind just there for as long as we are able when we meditate. So the first method of the resting or placement is just to learn how the meditation practice works and developing the ability to meditate. So that is how it begins. When your mind remains stable and focused on the object and not many thoughts arise, then your mind becomes more stable and relaxed and calm. But you can't rest for a long time there. You can see this relaxation, this, but you can't hold it there for a long time. So your mind just can't stay there. And there are a lot of things that can go wrong with your meditation if you don't use these methods. So when you're meditating, as I always say that, the important point is the moment of recognition. It's your awareness. When you are thinking there will be a moment when you recognize that you are caught in a thought. The mind is moving. Mind has moved onto a thought. So you need to recognize the disturbance of the mind. So you will see the movement, because the mind is moving so much. It just doesn't, stay there. So when your mind is distracted, the moment of recognition is very important. As for meditators, do you understand that? The recognition is very important. And when your mind has a lot of thoughts and cannot focus on the object, then you don't have good meditation, because you are dealing with, again, these thoughts at this time, right? So you are dealing with, you're following thoughts, so many thoughts. If you don't recognize, don't, rest, don't hold your mind on the object, then you don't have good meditation. Now, after we place our mind, we can have two different experiences that come from the movement of our minds. First, we can still have the object of our focus in our mind, but we notice that our mind is starting to wander away. So this is when we need to practice the second method of continual resting. Okay? That's why. Continual resting. And the other experience is when we noticed we have completely lost our object of meditation. For example, in the last meditation session, we were supposed to be focused on the Buddha's heart, right? But instead, we have been going through, through a list of items to buy at the grocery, store. You are thinking about what should I buy, the food for tomorrow, for Chok Feast, and all of that kind of things, right? When this happens, we need to practice the third method of repeated resting or repeated placement. Now, I'm going to talk about the second method now, which is, you understand, first method, resting, right? All the time we talk about that. Now the second method is continual resting, continual placement. So this is practicing resting the mind for a little bit longer. So you have to continue the previous method, and you need to try to slightly prolong this state of rest. So in this session, you have to go a little bit further in your meditation, and little bit, if you can, like little bit deeper, if you can. Go further means continue, and deeper. You look at your mind, deeper, and then if there's distractions, you recognize, and that's why then you continue rest, go deeper, further like that. You still have your awareness, so you can see that your mindfulness is beginning to waver, and you can bring it back again. In order to do that, the second method is very important. Then you work with that and hold your mind there again. Understand? Hold your mind there again. Then you are able to maintain your mindfulness for a little bit longer. And you feel slightly sort of confident this time. Slightly, little bit confident. You might think, I can do this. First time, the first method, when I rest my mind out, I can see, I notice there's so many discursive thoughts and all of that. But then as soon as you recognize that, and then you try to use the second method, continue resting, then it gives you a little bit confident, I can do this. But still, you're dealing with the movement of the mind. It is through the ability to become familiar that we learn how to let go of our thoughts. However, sometimes we completely sort of lose our awareness, and our mind is completely sort of separate from the object, from our object of focus, right? When this happens, then you need to practice the third method of repeated resting, repeated placement. The Tibetan word for this method is lan, which means like to bring back, reconnected. So when your mind loses its connection to its nature or its object, you have to bring it back, and you have to sort of reconnect it again. So you see the difference between the second and the third method is, this is very important to understand. And the second method, you are not losing the object completely, but you're very close to losing it. So you have to continually rest. Do you understand? Otherwise, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it completely. If you don't use the second method, you're not lose that this time, but very close to lose it. So if you don't recognize, if you don't have awareness, if you don't use the second method, you're going to lose it completely. That's the second method, right? But in the third method, repeated means your mind has completely lost the object. So you need to reconnect it. your mind to the object. These three methods, these three experience or this process could be very, happens very quickly or could be long time, slowly like that. It depends your meditation. So then people, if you completely like you lost and your mind is wandered away completely, then people usually follow your thoughts, right? Thoughts, and then you just completely forget your object. That means you don't have this method. And after you have placed your mind at the beginning of your meditation, each time you choose to recognize and acknowledge a thought and return your mind to the object. So you are learn repeated resting, and you are learn how to repeatedly rest the mind. It's such a small act, but I think it's one of the most sort of courageous things you can do. When you recognize and when you try to release your thoughts, you feel what do you call it? The happy coming back to the object again. That's why, you have more confidence this time. Don't worry that you have to do this, thousands of times, Don't worry, we have to do that many, many times, over again and again. We have to do that. That's why this is what we call practice, right? Practice. The first time, no success. Second time, no. Third time, no. And maybe like eventually. And then you see it. You can do it. So practice. Practice is very important. Practice. Without expectation. Just practice. So in these sort of methods of meditation, you have to understand we are like a baby starting to learn how to walk. That's always teachers say that. The baby, they start by just being able to take one step without sort of falling down, right? And then slowly they learn to take 2 or then 3 steps and then many steps, but they're always falling down a lot. You know that, right? As they learn how to walk. Because they get up and try again so many times. Eventually, they're able to learn how to walk continuously, right? That is what is like our, for us when we are learn how to, how to place our mind. Always these thoughts, distractions, always. That's why your meditations up and down. Because at first, our mind will stray almost every moment. But the more we sort of bring it back using these methods, and the more we will improve our ability to, to place the mind, and eventually we will be able to let our mind sort of rest. So each time you remember to place your mind on the object of meditation, you are moving forward. You're moving forward. That's why don't worry. The more you are able to, the more you are able to strengthen your attention and focus, the stronger your mind becomes. The stronger the experience becomes, the stronger the result becomes. Without, expectations. That's why I'm saying, don't think about the result, because just think about the method, this method. Each time you have to remember to place your mind on the object all the time. You do this, just go forward, moving forward, forward, forward. Then eventually, your mind becomes stronger, your experience becomes stronger, and then you see the result. Otherwise, if you have expectation, you hope that it doesn't work. But if you don't have that, just practice, then the result will come. Just come. So when your mind wanders off, you need to bring it back to the present again and again like that. Then there is the possibility of the mind calm down. And so then you can see, eventually the basic, sort of state of the peace, the nature of mind. The way to rest your mind in meditation is to let go of all thoughts. It doesn't really matter whether the thoughts are positive or negative. That's why we say you have to just rest, right? Don't think about who was Buddha Shakyamuni, about his qualities, nothing. Just to focus on his center, heart center, right? Because we have to rest our mind without thinking any positive, negative. Because once you start thinking about these things, then you're not relaxing, So, and the third method, repeated resting. You still have discursive thoughts, but you become more sort of confident. Do you understand this first method, second method, third method? And you have to understand the difference between these three methods. Not intellectually, but when you meditate, experientially, you have to understand what is the difference between these things. So, this is how you build. This is how you build your meditation. There's no, I don't think, there's no way to do it. So you have to develop confidence and ability of your mind by realizing that everything you do in these three stages, every time you recognize a thought, acknowledge it, and let it go. Your mind, become stronger. So, in practice of meditation, rest in the mind, continuous resting, the repeated resting. These three methods work directly with your experiences. We're not talking about someone who is on the 10th bhumi or 9th bhumi or We're talking about just beginners, right? How to work with relax our mind. So you can see this right away. We can experience this. When we talk about the wisdom of Buddha, we just intellectually we can talk about these things, but we just don't understand because we are not there yet. But when we talk about this three kind of experience in meditation, stages of meditation, as soon as you start meditate, you will experience, you will see it, you will know it, you will know how these methods are important. So therefore, I think these stages of practice, helps your mind become stable and gives you lots of, good things like confidence and, be able to hold your mind and control your mind. And based on that stable mind, you can develop other great experiences, right? Other great experience. And what else? So there we go. You have one preparation, two implements, and three methods. Understand? Do you think they are very important? Are they important? Yeah? You do have expectation, do you? That's the obstacle. Especially when you practice like high level, like practice great perfection or dzogchen, you can't have expectation. It says like, without hope and fear, just do it. But that's not only for them. I think for us, I think also important to not have a lot of little expectations, okay. Sometimes we need hope, right? I hope also, I hope, but not too much. Because then the dangerous is, maybe you will lose your confidence and you don't make a commitment from it. So therefore, very important, the preparation. This is how you develop your practice, how you practice. Once you have these tools, these methods, then you just do it. Pick up your whatever you like, the object, and then you see. Let's focus on that. And remember these methods. And I think that's that. In the next section, I will talk about the different experience, okay? And also some other obstacles, to our meditation, and antidotes, all of that kind of things. And when we sort of take these sort of stages of meditation, this journey, we have lots of obstacles, obstacles and inner obstacles, and we have lots of experience, and so therefore we have lots of good the solutions and antidotes. So I will let you know those things. Now we'll meditate a little bit, okay? Yeah, I call this as important stages of meditation. So now you have all of that, all of these three things. What do you call it? What do you call it, these three things? You can't say tools because I already use it. You can't say methods, I already use. Aspects, maybe. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Three aspects. Three aspects, okay? So meditation is translated as a gom in Tibetan, right? In Tibetan, gom, which means to become accustomed to doing something. So practice meditation means to habituate yourself to the meditation. old habits very strong. Okay? That's why we practice Bodhisattva, purify old habits. It is a different language, Buddhist language. It's hard to understand, right? Purification, karma, beginningless time. Very difficult, is it? How karma works. It's very hard. But when you think about old habits, I think the other day I think about karma. I will explain this way. Maybe karma means like old habits. For instance, if you are like smoker, very strong, very like you accustomed or whatever, you are smoker, right? You can't stop. You always go outside and smoke, cigarette smoke, Habits. Beginningless, let's see if you believe. Beginningless, you always, all your life, you smoke. That's how you make habit. That's now how you purify that, how you stop doing it, how you stop smoke. You can't stop right away. Slowly, you have to work with it, slowly. Maybe you can few times, you can smoke a week, and then next time, maybe less, and then eventually 20 years, 30 years, eventually you can stop smoke. That's what we call, you purified your negative karma. Do you understand? So you have this, you do understand the strong habit. We call it, in Buddhists they're called what do you call it? Habitual patterns, beginningless. But I don't see that like your negative karma is you accumulated your negative karma and you put somewhere and then you accumulate, become like huge like this. I don't see that, right? That doesn't mean, karma means like you smoke all the time and then you are very, difficult, when you don't have smoke. I heard that people, smoker, if they don't have food to eat 2-3 days, no problem. But if they don't have smoke, they can't stay without smoke, even like 1 day. It's very hard, right? So that's how we work. That's why like the meditation, we say that the meditation is for, how to purify, how to stop these negative things. The negative is negative. There is no argument, right? You agree, killing is negative, desire is negative, anger is negative. There's no, questions, we all agree that. But how we stop, how we purify it. Only you can't do anything, about these things like money or fame or power for nothing. Only through meditation. Meditation. So which means like, gom in Tibet. Gom means like, you habituate yourself to meditation. That's what another one is like familiarization. You're familiar with, actually you're working with your mind. Anyway, now I would like you to meditate again on the Buddha statue, the heart, same as the first section. So focus on the Buddha statue and look at his heart center. And at the same time, bring your mind to his heart center. And again, try to not to sort of let your thoughts come into your mind. I mean, you can't stop, actually, when you meditate like that, you can't stop your thoughts, and you should not. It will be not good, but just to recognize and then using these methods. And for sure, during the meditation, the different feelings and different thoughts definitely will arise, right? And then try to remember these three methods. So it's very simple, just there's nothing complete, like, no visualization. You just look at, you look, And at the same time, it's very important, the movement of your mind, the recognition. Oh, you have to see, oh, I'm very close to lose this object. And then you have to reconnect it, your mind to the object. Don't making any, like, what do you call it? Oh, this is interesting. Or don't think like, oh, it's so boring, and just focus on it, Don't make big deal out of it, That's meditators say, just to do it and then relax there, try to relax there. And then eventually you will find very interest, eventually very interest, to practice like that, shamatha, focus on that, and then so try to relax your mind. And usually we have so many methods and meditations, but this is this simple meditation. You just focus on it. So not necessarily Buddha statue. If you want something else, you can do that. But Buddha statue is actually the Buddha himself, representation, what do you call it? So there is a benefit, it's full of his body. Actually, there's no question. It's compassionate body. So there is it's a very good object, very good object. It's better than focus on a cup or focus on a, food or, whatever. It's naturally, it's very, like, important object. So for a few minutes, okay? It's difficult to see right away the result, the benefits. When I was under my second teacher, and I was there 6 months for 6 months, and then every day he gave me this shamatha meditation, So then I want to see him all the time. He said, nothing, you don't have to see me. So for 1 week, meditate on shamatha, and then there's beautiful, like trees and beautiful mountain. His monastery, the place, that monastery was very beautiful. Lots of trees and like that. So I just go outside and under the tree, meditate on shamatha. It's sometimes I, get very bored. Yeah, it's boring. It's like, what is this? I don't see the result or benefits, nothing. But I do that like many times. I did that 3 weeks only for shamatha every day for, I think, almost like 8 hours every day. shamatha, 3 weeks, and then he told me that 3 weeks, meditate on 3 weeks, go away, 3 weeks, and then come back. I will give you the next. But that's the first Antam Drukpa Rinpoche. He actually did like for his student like 3 years or 7 years only focus on shamatha, let them practice shamatha. For 15 minutes, nothing, right? We hear 15 minutes and it's hard, but we're just a baby, baby, how to, baby steps, how to learn. Okay, so just relax and meditate for a few minutes here, and then you will actually experience. Then you will, you will see, you will see your mind, how functions and how, how strong and the movements of your mind. All of that you can study, you can see. You're not looking for outside, but you're looking inside, and you will experience all of this. It's one way is this is really beautiful. So it's just to focus on the object. You have no visualizations like the union of the lady and the female Buddha, male Buddha. These are complicated, these visualizations, right? But this is very easy and profound sort of I think meditation. So please. Maybe 10 minutes.